The Bugatti Veyron is coming into the garage. My Bugatti Veyron.
A few moments later.
So, that is not good. That could have caused a fire. A 5mm spacer.
So the car would have to be on site with ourselves, that new parts get ordered, you see.
There's no way I'm taking it there. I didn't buy this car to take it back to Bugatti.
So if you watch the Chiron series, you already know how this goes. Mat Armstrong buys a Bugatti nobody else wants to touch. He takes it apart in a regular workshop with his dad and a team that Bugatti publicly suggested should not be anywhere near a car like that. He proves them wrong. And then just when you think the story has found its ceiling, he goes and raises it. He bought a Veyron, not a wreck this time. A car that runs, drives, and from the outside looks like someone's pride and joy. But the moment Matt gets it in the air and starts looking underneath it, he finds something. One small detail that tells you everything about where this car has been and what has been done to it. Or more accurately, what has never been done to it. Ever. And then he calls Bugatti, and they give him the same answer they gave him on the Chiron. Except this time, there is something different hanging over that conversation. Because while Matt has been in his workshop taking Bugattis apart, the U has been writing a law, and it is aimed directly at what Bugatti just said to him. What that means for this build, and what Matt found underneath that Veyron, is where this story starts. The Veyron drives. It runs. From 20 feet away, it looks like a car that somebody took care of. The closer you get to it, the more that impression starts to fall apart. There is a fuse box under the bonnet that has been on borrowed time for a while. At some point, somebody replaced a 25 amp fuse with a 40 amp fuse in a line that has absolutely no business running that much current. The car nearly burned down because of it.
That 40 amp ain't meant to be a 40 amp, and someone's put in a bigger amp fuse and that's melted it. So that is not good. That could have caused a fire.
Matt and his dad have put the correct fuse back in as a temporary fix, and it works. But that is not the end of the story. It is just a pause in it. Something in that circuit is drawing too much current, and until that root cause is found, the correct fuse is basically just slowing down an argument that is still coming. Then there is the misfire. Nobody is fully sure what is causing it yet, with the secondary air pumps being the current best theory. The radiator is leaking, not dramatically, just dripping, but dripping consistently. And those are just the issues that were already on the table before they even put the car in the air. When the wheels come off, the list starts growing.
What are these tires? Pirelli P0 ditch finders.
Lamborghini spec as well. Lamborghini spec tires on the Bugatti.
Yeah, that's criminal, isn't it?
The original Bugatti wheels are long gone. What is sitting on the car instead is a set of Pirelli P0 tires on aftermarket rims, Lamborghini spec, in a detail that feels almost deliberately offensive, running 5mm spacers to try and make up the difference between a 355 tire and the 365 the car is supposed to have.
What size are these? 355, 25. The originals are 365. And I'm guessing that 355 to the 365, the extra is at 10 millimeters. 10 They've tried to make it up with a 5mm spacer.
The original Bugatti tires are literally glued to their rims at the factory, because that is what it takes to safely do 260 miles per hour. Without the original wheels and that specific tire combination, 260 miles per hour is not happening, and everybody in the workshop knows it. Under the arches, the suspension looks okay. Bilstein coils, springs that seem fine, drop links that are holding up, but everything is covered in rust. The arch lining bolts are shot. They go on the list. And on the driver's side, the CV boot has split wide open with grease all over everything underneath. A split CV boot on a car making 1,001 horsepower means water has been getting into the CV joint, which means the drive shaft could be fine or could be gone. And the only way to know is to order a boot, fit it, and then drive it. The brake cooling tube on the same side has perished completely and is no longer doing anything useful. The under tray bolts are so corroded, it is painful to look at them. The front bumper is being held together partly by the wrap. There is a missing trim piece on the lower door. The underbonnet fabric is gone. The front Bugatti badge has been touched up with what looks like a combination of paint and Tip X. A couple of interior bolts have been rounded off by somebody who presumably left them for someone else to deal with. And the sump plugs. This is the one detail that says everything about this car's history in a single image. When Bugatti services a Veyron, they put a paint mark on every sump plug to confirm it has been torqued correctly. There are 16 drain plugs on a Veyron. Every single one of them has exactly one mark. The mark from the factory floor, the day the car was built. This car has never been serviced. Not once in its life. And all of that deferred maintenance is now sitting in a pile on Matt's workbench.
Somebody said as well, you can tell how many times the Bugatti's been serviced by how many paint markers are on the sump plugs. Because every time the Bugatti service it, they put a new paint marker so they torqued it, and mine's got one. That's probably from the factory, innit, when it come out.
So Matt builds the full parts list before he picks up the phone. Arch bolts, CV boot, brake cooling tube, under tray bolts, lower door trim, under bonnet fabric, front emblem, full major service kit that covers the Haldex fluid, front diff oil, gearbox oil filter, all 16 sump plugs and crush washers, the gearbox pump, and the accumulators. The accumulators matter more than they sound. They are the components that store hydraulic pressure so the gearbox can shift gears without waiting for the pump to repressurize the system every time. If they are leaking, the pump works constantly trying to compensate, and eventually the pump dies. On a Veyron that has never seen a service, they have to be checked. And then there is the speed key. There is a second key that comes with the Veyron. It is small and plain looking with no buttons on it, and it slots into a housing low on the dashboard. Without it, the car runs restricted, 850 horsepower instead of 1001, and top speed electronically capped. You cannot do 260 miles per hour without the speed key. Matt's Veyron did not come with one, and nobody has yet found a way to source or code one outside of an official Bugatti dealership. Matt calls Bugatti London first. Nobody answers.
I'm sorry, this person is not available. If you would like to leave an additional message, please reply after the tone.
Yeah, we're not getting them. Didn't even answer the phone.
He calls Bugatti Manchester. Someone picks up, transfers him through, and Matt explains what he needs. Service parts for a Veyron he owns, a few trim pieces, and a price on a speed key. The answer on the parts is the same answer that anyone who watched the Chiron series already saw coming. The car has to come to them, parts only get fitted on site.
I'm just wondering if I can order some parts for my Veyron, if that is possible.
So the car would have to be on site with ourselves, that any parts get ordered, you see.
There is no arrangement where Bugatti supplies the components and the owner takes them away to fit themselves. It does not matter that the logbook is in Matt's name. It does not matter that arch bolts and a brake cooling tube are not safety critical components. The policy applies to everything, without exception. Here's the thing worth understanding. What Bugatti is doing is not unusual. It is not even surprising. It is the business model. After the warranty period on a car like this expires, the manufacturer has spent years engineering a situation where there is nowhere else to go. The parts are locked to the network. The diagnostic systems require authorized equipment. The keys need to be coded at the dealership. The accumulators and gearbox pump, components that wear out on a schedule and get swapped on every major service, are only available through official channels. They have built a system where independence is structurally impossible, and then they set the prices accordingly. The safety argument gets deployed to justify this, just as it was deployed against Matt with the Chiron. The idea that a Veyron can only be safely serviced by Bugatti is the same idea that mate Rimac used when he said a Chiron could only be split in a factory environment. Matt drove a Veyron onto a lift and took the wheels off without needing special training or controlled conditions. The safety framing is a story manufacturers tell, and it has been doing a lot of heavy lifting for a very long time. In June 2024, the EU formally passed the Right to Repair Directive, with a hard deadline of July 31st, 2026 for all member states to have it implemented in national law. What that directive does is mandate that manufacturers must make spare parts, repair information, and the tools needed to do the work available to consumers and independent repairers, not just for the warranty period, not just for authorized networks. It specifically targets the kind of aftermarket monopoly Bugatti has built, the situation where owning a product and being able to maintain it are treated as two different things. The automotive sector actually has older legislation that should already be doing some of this work. The Motor Vehicle Block Exemption Regulation, which dates back to 1995 and has been extended through 2028, requires car manufacturers to release technical data and repair instructions to independent repairers. But the enforcement on premium and exotic manufacturers has always been inconsistent, and the gap between the law existing and the law being applied is exactly the gap that Bugatti has been living in comfortably for years. There is one item on the list where the legislation does not immediately solve everything, and that is the speed key. Even under a right to repair framework, keys that need to be coded to a specific vehicle involve software access that manufacturers still largely control. The argument around cybersecurity gets used here in the same way that safety gets used for mechanical repairs, and it has more surface area to it because programming a key incorrectly genuinely can cause problems in a way that replacing a brake cooling tube cannot. It is a more defensible position for Bugatti to hold, even in a tightening regulatory environment, which means the Veyron, for now, is sitting somewhere between 850 horsepower and the full 1001 with no clear route to resolving the difference that does not involve driving it to a Bugatti dealership and leaving it there. The fuse box has already been sorted. Matt's dad cut and trimmed a unit from a Lamborghini Urus and fitted it in place. It works. Nobody is ever going to see the back of it. The CV boot will get sourced from wherever the closest match can be found. The service will be done in-house using whatever parts are available. The trim pieces, the badge, the lining bolts, all solvable without picking up the phone to Bugatti again. But 260 miles per hour requires the speed key, and the speed key requires Bugatti. The misfire is still undiagnosed. The leaking radiator needs a proper fix rather than a drip. The original wheels are missing, and black aftermarket rims on a Veyron, as Matt puts it, is basically criminal. The wrap is coming off. The full service still needs doing. And somewhere underneath all of that is the fuse circuit question that started this video, which is still waiting for an answer. There is a lot of road ahead. But the conversation around this video is not really just about one car or one workshop. It is about the moment when a manufacturer's ability to lock an owner out of their own vehicle starts running into a law that says they cannot do that anymore. The Chiron series proved Matt could take apart what Bugatti said was untouchable. The Veyron series might end up proving something slightly different. That doing this work yourself, in your own workshop, on your own car, is not just possible. After July 2026, it will be your legal right. Tuna No Crust, signing off.